everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. It is already time to talk about all the books that I want to read in the month of November. So in November, I kind of want to do things more relaxed. I kind of want to pick up whatever I want to at that time. So I do want to read a lot of sequels. I feel like November is going to be the month of sequels for me, but it's also going to be the month where I finally stop pressing deliver later on my library holds. I feel like for the past several months, I keep getting my library holds in and I just click deliver later over and over and over again. So this month, when my library holds become available for me to borrow, I'm gonna click borrow. So I will go through the list of sequels and new releases and books that I want to read, but I'm also going to go through all my library holds just in case they become available in November, and I'm finally going to read them. The first book I want to talk about is a sequel, but it also fits the prompt for Buzzwordathon. So the prompt for November is to read a book that has ING in the title, so I'm going to go with Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. Obviously, Hunting has ING in it, and this is the sequel to Stalking Jack the Ripper. So we follow Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell, and this is set in the 1800s, and Audrey Rose isn't like your typical woman in the 1800s. She kind of goes out of the stereotypes and kind of makes men angry because she doesn't do what a woman is supposed to be doing. She is very involved in science, and her uncle was actually a medical examiner, and so she studied under him. So in this one, it seems like they're going after Dracula, so I'm interested to see how that plays into it. The next book is actually a start of a new series, but I have had this book since 2017, and my best friend and I, Katie from Katie's Book Nook, we have been talking about buddy reading this book for so long, and we just haven't done it, but November will be our month, and that is Carnival by Stephanie Garber. And like I said, I've had this since 2017, and I'm finally gonna pick it up. I literally have heard this synopsis so many times, but I cannot reiterate it to you right now. I'm pretty sure we follow sisters, and there is this like carnival, this circus that appears like every few years maybe, and then if you get involved, you go missing. And I think one of the sisters went missing and the other one is trying to find her, something like that, but don't take my words like for law because I'm not quite sure, but I'm excited to read this with Katie and finally figure out what it's all about and to find out all the hype about it. The next sequel I want to read is The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. This is the sequel to The Gilded Ones, which was one of my favorite books last year. So this is set in a world where when you are 16, you have a blood ceremony. If your blood runs red, you are good to go to join the rest of the village and live out your life. But if your blood runs gold, then you are said to be a monster. And of course, 16-year-old Decca, her blood runs gold, and so she is sent to prison. And then when she is in prison, a woman shows up and says, you can stay in this prison and die, or you can come with me and join a group of women warriors. And that's how the first book sets up, and it is crazy. There are monsters in this world. There are warriors. It is amazing, and I really, really loved it. And I cannot wait to see where the sequel takes us. The next book is a sequel to one of my favorite books of this year, and that is All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman, and this is the sequel to All of Us Villains. So this is set in a fantasy world where every 20 years there is a tournament, and 7 families send a champion into this tournament, and the winner gets the high magic. And did I mention this is a deadly tournament? You have to kill everyone in order to get the high magic. So in the first one, we follow all 7 families and the perspective of the champion as they are in the tournament, and obviously this is the follow-up to what happened in the first one. I love this book so much. The magic was really interesting, and of course I love a deadly game, so I feel like I'm just really going to love this one as much as the first one. Yet another sequel is One Dark Throne by Kendara Blake. This is the sequel to Three Dark Crowns, which I read a few months ago and I really loved it and it really surprised me. So this also involves kind of a deadly game, although we haven't quite seen it yet. We just saw the build-up for it. So we follow 3 sisters and they grow up separate lives. One of the sisters is a poisoner, so she can survive any poison. She's kind of immune. Another one is a naturalist, so she makes the plants grow, and they have animal familiars. And then the other one is an elementalist, and she deals with weather, and she's very powerful. So these 3 sisters, when they become a certain age, they have to go through a tournament and kill each other, and the one left standing is queen. I loved it so much. The magic in this one is so cool, and I just love how there are so many different groups of magic. I really loved it, and I haven't really read anything with an animal familiar in it before, so that was really fun to read about too. But yeah, all the sisters are very different and unique, and I cannot wait to see where we go because the first one was crazy. The next sequel is one that I have been reading very slowly because it is a reread for me, and that is Prodigy by Marie Lu. This is the sequel to Legend, which is a dystopian novel. I love dystopian books, and I read this one years and years ago, but there is a fourth book called Rebel that I never got to, so I'm rereading the entire series so I can finally read the fourth book. So we follow a character named Day, and of course he is a rebel. He is going against the government and wants to take them down, and it's dystopian. So what do you think is going to happen? We also follow another character named June, and she is basically a prodigy of the Republic, and her and Day's paths kind of cross, and they might actually end up working together. But yeah, like I said, I love dystopian, so it's been so much fun rereading this series. The next two books are actually memoirs, and the first one I have to show you is Beyond the Wand by Tom Felton. Of course, Tom Felton played Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, and this is his story, his memoir, and I'm just very, very excited. I have met Tom Felton before, and so I feel like this book's going to be even more special just because I think he is so kind. Like, he was so nice meeting everyone, and so it's going to be really great reading his story. And the next one, I haven't even started reading it, and I cried a lot, like already, and that is Madly Deeply, and these are the diaries of Alan Rickman, and it's just very emotional. The foreword in here is written by Emma Thompson, and I just know I'm going to cry a lot. Okay, now it's time to pull up my Libby app and tell you all about the books that I have on hold in the library, and which ones might become available to me in November. So the first one is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I have clicked deliver later so many times on this. This is another STEM romance, and I've heard that it is very similar to The Love Hypothesis, but if it is, that means I'm gonna love it, so I'm excited. The next book is actually a sequel, which kind of goes with my theme for November, and that is Tokyo Dreaming by Amiko Jean. This is the sequel to Tokyo Ever After, which I really enjoyed when I read it. It is basically a Princess Diaries retelling, but with Japanese princes and princesses and everything like that, and it was a lot of fun to read, so I'm interested to see where the sequel goes. The next book I have on hold is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. I believe this is a thriller, maybe horror, and I literally can't tell you anything about it. I just know a lot of people enjoy it, and I love thrillers, I love horrors, so this sounds like it's in my genre wheelhouse, so hopefully it's good. The next one is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. Once again, I don't know what this one is about. I know it's a fantasy, and I have read Axio before and really enjoyed it, but that one was a contemporary romance, so I'm interested to see what she can do in fantasy. The next one I'm not sure that I'll actually like because it is adult high fantasy, I believe, and I just feel like I don't have enough brain cells for that. But that is Similan Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, and I've had this one on hold for a while because I have been so interested in it because I heard that it is kind of a retelling of the Tower of Babel, which is my favorite Bible story, so I'm interested in reading that just because it is a retelling of Babel, and I just am nervous because it's adult fantasy, which not my wheelhouse, but we'll see. Next, I have Notes on an Execution by Danya Kukafka, and this one I believe we follow a serial killer, and it's about all of his crimes, and I'm pretty sure it actually makes you feel empathy for the killer and shows you how human he actually is. I've just heard that this one is incredible, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Next, I have The Duchess Deal by Tessa Dare. This is a historical romance, and I have been wanting to read Tessa Dare for a long time, so this one has been on hold for me for probably like a year now, and there have been so many times where I borrowed it and didn't read it, so if it becomes available, I'm going to read it. Next, I have The Island by Adrienne McKenty. Now, I believe this is about a family who goes and stays on an island and something happens and they have to fight for their lives. I have heard really good things about Adrienne McKenty's books. He writes thriller books, and I just feel like this one's going to be really great. Next, I have Sisters of Night and Fog by Erica Roebuck, and this is a historical fiction book. I don't know what it's about though. I just know that this was on my anticipated releases, and so I put it on hold on library, and we'll see what happens. Next, I have Dwight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson, and this is a Carrie retelling, and Carrie is one of my favorite Stephen King novels, and I have never read Tiffany D. Jackson, and I have heard really great things about her, so I'm hoping this is great for me. Another Adrienne McKenty book I have on hold is The Chain, and I believe this one is about someone's child gets stolen, and in order to get their child back, they have to steal another child, and it's like an endless chain of events, and it sounds dark, it sounds really great. And the next book on my holds list is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I have read one book from this author before, and she writes adult romances that are more on the tame side, and I really enjoyed her other book, so I am looking forward to this one as well. And then I have Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. This is an adult romance, I believe, but it's also like a true crime romance because we follow a girl who is suspicious of everyone because she reads a lot of true crime, and so her young, hot next door neighbor, she thinks he's a serial killer. So we'll see. And then I have Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I have read one book by Alice Feeney and I loved it so much. And this is an Agatha Christie and then there were none retelling, I believe. I don't like Agatha Christie, but I love Alice Feeney. And the last one I have on hold is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I have yet to read a Karen Slaughter book, but I have heard she is fantastic. She is a thriller author, and I've heard that Pretty Girls is actually pretty dark, but I don't know what it's about. I just know that Haley Hughes loves it, so I kind of trust her on thriller horror books, so hopefully this one's good. So those are all the books that I want to read in the month of November. I know I'm not going to get to all of them, but I'm kind of just putting a pool of books out there to randomly choose from throughout the month. Like I said, if my library holds become available, I'm dropping everything and I'm going to finally read those books and borrow them from the library. But yeah, let me know what you're reading in November. And if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave the leaves falling emoji because November, fall, even though I don't experience fall where I live, but I would love to. But that is it for this video. As always, all my social media links will be down below and I will see you next time. Bye!